Hey guys, the video you're about to watch is easily one of my worst videos. Yeah, I know, great intro, but let me explain. When I rebuilt the n8n workflow in the video, I realized that some of my initial solutions for the workflow weren't the best, but for whatever reason, I haven't noticed this during testing off camera. Maybe I was too tired, maybe I was just too confused. I have absolutely no idea. So please see this video for what it is. It's only for educational purposes. Don't waste too much time with it. Skim through it. I've still decided to upload it because, well, I still invested quite a bit of time to learn n8n, and I thought I'd just share my progress with you guys. So if you have some ideas for how to improve the workflow, or you want to add additional features because you deem them beneficial, be my guest. You can grab the workflow in the video description down below. And if you're part of my free Discord channel and you want to share the updated workflow, even better, because I think other people can benefit from it. Now, that being said, let's jump into the video. Before we actually start to build the workflow, I want to show you how it works. So I won't walk you through every little detail. I will do this once we rebuild it, but just so you know, we have 6 different parts of the workflow. As you can see, we have a daily learning reminder. What this does is it will send the user, well, a message on Telegram asking what he wants to learn. Then the user will be prompted to answer if he wants to learn a new topic or if he wants to dive into yesterday's topic. And you can see here how this looks like. So as you can see, we have the topic, we have the type. This is a code snippet in this example, and the question, what is the primary purpose of the commit method? And as you can see in the beginning, the user was asked if he wants to learn a new topic or yesterday's topic. Great. Then we have the part where we generate the bite-sized question about the coding topic. Basically, we have 2 agents. One agent that grabs a specific topic from a database and does some formatting with it. There is probably a better solution for this, but well, there will definitely be people in the comment section who are way smarter than me and who have way more experience with n8n than I do. So please, if you know a better solution, drop a comment down below. The next agent, this agent number 4, generates the question, and then we send the question back to the user on Telegram. And the same is true for the second branch, where we basically dive deeper into yesterday's topics, with one exception, because first we grab the topic from yesterday from the database, and then the agent asks a question based on this topic. And here we basically have the ongoing coding tutor conversation. So what the user can do once he receives a code snippet or initial question, he can ask more questions about the topic or the code snippet. The agent has a memory, as you can see here, so it keeps track of all the different conversations, questions, answers, and so on. Basically like a real live coding tutor. And then we send the answer back to Telegram once again, and we listen to another message. So this basically runs as a loop here. Okay, so, and this was a quick overview of the workflow that we're going to build. But before we start, we actually have to prepare a few things. So for that, let's head back over to Excalidraw. Here you can see the steps that we need to take in order to actually rebuild the workflow. First, we need to connect the domain through Cloudflare and set up a Cloudflare tunnel, and I'm going to show you why. If you have a look at the URL, you can see that it's not running on localhost. I mean, it's running on localhost under the hood, but the data and the packets are tunneled to this domain. And my nutrifit24.info is an old domain that I own, so you also need a domain to be able to create this workflow. And it's running on this subdomain, basically. And don't worry, I'm going to show you how to set everything up inside of Cloudflare dashboard and inside of your terminal. It's not that hard if you know what you do. And the third step is to set up our Postgres database locally, so the agent has access to a memory. We can store the conversations and basically keep track of everything that of every interaction that we have with the bot. Then we need to set up n8n locally with Docker, and again, I'm going to show you how to do this. We need to set up a Telegram channel and bot in the way that you can see here, right? And we're going to use the bot father for this, and this is essentially Telegram's way of enabling you to do this. And the last step is that we actually gonna rebuild the workflow. So without further ado, let's dive into the first step. So let's head back over to Cloudflare so that I can show you how to set up a domain. If you've never created an account with Cloudflare, you just have to click sign up. In my case, I'm just going to log in. And if you're signing up for the first time, you won't see your dashboard immediately. You will see a user interface that looks something like this, where you have to either enter an existing domain that you own, or you can also register a new domain with Cloudflare. And either you buy a new domain or you, as I've said, enter an existing domain. If you choose an existing domain and you click continue, you will be prompted to choose a subscription. So you can go with free, so it doesn't cost you a dime. And then Cloudflare goes ahead, reviews your DNS records. If you click continue, Cloudflare will basically do its thing and, well, make sure that your domain is accessible via Cloudflare. The last step that you need to take, though, is that you need to change the name service, as you can see here. And the way how you do this is by clicking on the domain DNS records, and you will be guided how to do this in the initial setup process, right? But as you can see here, you have to change to Cloudflare and its name service. Since I don't know what registrar you're using, like GoDaddy, Namecheap, you name it, I can't really walk you through the process of how this works. You have to follow the instructions on Cloudflare, right? But once you're done with this and all the changes are propagated, you will see this little active badge next to your domain, and this is a good sign that everything worked as expected. So let me quickly remove this domain from Cloudflare, and this is essentially the first step that you need to take in order to host your domain with Cloudflare. And if we head back over here, you can now see that we can already proceed to the next step, which is setting up a Cloudflare tunnel. And before we actually dive into how to set it up with your custom domain, I will also put another URL down in the video description below. You can also use Cloudflare without a domain. As you can see here in the section use try Cloudflare, this is how you would go about it. Before that, you actually have to install Cloudflare, and don't worry, I'm going to show you how to do this in a bit. Just know that this isn't really reliable, right? Because, well, it's a free service provided by Cloudflare, and I've tried this in the past, but it takes forever to load, because what happens here is that Cloudflare will assign you a free domain, but it's very, very slow. And using a custom domain is much faster. I mean, obviously, you still have a few limitations because you have a free plan, right? But, well, it's more usable than actually using a free domain from Cloudflare. Great. Now that we've talked about this, let's actually head back over to the correct documentation. And for that, we need to head back over to Cloudflare's GitHub. More specifically, you have to search for github.com, Cloudflared. And if you scroll down, you will see how to install it. You can either install it via Homebrew, which is a package manager for macOS, or you can just click on this button here where it says latest Darwin AMD release. You can scroll down and you can just download the PKG file and just double click it and install it like you would install any other app on your Mac. Okay, great. Now, unfortunately, if you scroll down to the section creating tunnels and routing traffic and you click on these instructions, you will be redirected to a 404 page. So this really doesn't exist. But I figured the setup process with Cloudflare or in the Cloudflare documentation is kind of, well, not complicated, but it's very technical, and you can always ask AI to help you set up the tunnel. So we're going to do this. We're going to use Perplexity, and for that, I want to show you how this works. So let's head back over to Perplexity. As you can see, this is the prompt that I used. I have a local n8n workflow that is running on localhost, but I would like to expose this to a specific domain through Cloudflare. Could you please help me set up Cloudflare, which enables me to create a tunnel for my local host and host it on Cloudflare using one of my domains? I need you to walk me through the setup process, the commands that I need to run in the terminal, the stuff that I need to do inside of Cloudflare's dashboard, so that I can then test if the tunnel is working and to see if I can access my n8n workflow through my custom domain. And if you scroll down, you will see a few things. So first of all, we need to install Cloudflare, right? And I've already shown you how to do this, so we can really skip this step. If you haven't installed it yet, please do so. And then it says, authenticate Cloudflare. Run the following command and follow the prompts to log into your Cloudflare account. So what you want to do is you want to copy that command, and then you want to head over to your terminal. And let me make this a bit bigger so it's easier to read. Now, if you use brew or even the pkg file to install Cloudflare, you will probably have a directory which is called .cloudflare. And here you will probably, I'm not sure if you will initially find any files, but in this directory you have to execute the following command, cloudflare tunnel login. And if you do this, a new browser window will open. So let me show you. And here you will find the domain that you've set up earlier, right? So you have to click it. Then you will be prompted to authorize the tunnel for MyNutriFit24, or in your case, for your domain. You click authorize. This should only take a second, and then you will see a success message. After that, you can close the browser window. And if you now list all the files in the directory, you can see that, well, we have a cert_old.pem file. This was already inside of the directory because this is my certificate that I created initially a few days ago when I built the workflow for the first time. But we also have a new cert.pem file from today, right? Just now. The next thing that we need to do is we actually need to create a Cloudflare tunnel with this command. So you want to copy that, head back over here, and this last section here, the my-n8n-tunnel, is the tunnel name, so I will give it a different name. I will call it my n8n tunnel demo, and if you click enter, this should also only take a second, and as you can see, it says tunnel create credentials written to this file, and if we now run LA again, you can see that we have two JSON files. So this JSON file is the tunnel credentials to my initial tunnel, which also belongs to the old certificate. And then we also have a new JSON file, which is the new credentials for the new certificate, right? Great. Now, after that, we need to create a new file named config.yaml. And as you can see, we already have it inside of the directory. So in case you don't have it, you want to run the command touch config.yaml. And if we have a look at the config.yaml file, you will see a few things. So first of all, we have the tunnel ID at the top that you can see here. We also need to link the credentials file, which is the created JSON file, and then we have a few more information. So first we have the host name, we have the service, so this is the local host where n8n is usually running on port 5678, and well, we have a service message with the HTTP status 404. You can leave those too. The host name is interesting because here you obviously have to link your domain, and you can choose a specific subdomain, so you can go with n8n, but you can also go with, I don't know, n8n-tunnel-demo, something like this. You can see in my case, I've used n8n-Daniel Jürgens, and then the rest of my domain. And by the way, this is also part of the webhook URL that we need in order to expose the localhost to the internet so that we can interact with Telegram or other APIs, right? Great. So the last step that we need to take is we need to actually create a DNS record inside of Cloudflare, and we do this with this command. So let me quickly grab this and let me exit out of here. So paste that here. Let's do the following. Let's rename this to myNutriFit24.info, and we call this n8n tunnel demo new. So let's hit enter, and this should only take a second. Again, as you can see, it says edit CNAME n8n tunnel demo new. So what does it mean? If we head over to our Cloudflare dashboard and we click on the domain, you can see that we added a new CNAME. So this CNAME is the correct one for my actual setup, n8n-Daniel Jürgens, and you can also see this here, n8n-Daniel Jürgens, and this is the one that we added. So the command that we used inside of the terminal did two things. First, it created the CNAME, and it created a DNS entry of the type CNAME with this name, and the content looks like this. So if we click edit, this is really the UUID of the JSON file, as you can see here. This is the same number. It ends in 301. it ends in 0f8, as you can see here. And then it just added a .cfargotunnel.com. Now I will actually delete this because, well, we don't need it. I will use the old setup. So click delete, and I will also rename the files here and delete the new JSON file so that I have the correct setup. So this is how it should look like on your end, right? You have one JSON file, you have the cert.pem file, and you have the config.yaml file with your, well, configuration. Now, if we head back over to Perplexity, you can see that you can run the tunnel with this command, Cloudflare tunnel run, and then you have to provide your tunnel name. So, and if we switch back over to the other tab, you can see that the command is already running. So Cloudflare tunnel, then I provide the config.yaml file. You don't really need this because it will actually grab the config.yaml file in the directory automatically. And I use the quick protocol. I think this is not a standard because, well, the quick protocol is actually a bit faster and Cloudflare doesn't use it as a standard. So sometimes I ran into issues that this solution was also pretty slow in terms of how long it would take to access the domain. So after a little bit of Googling, I found this, and actually it runs a bit smoother. So you can try this, but you don't really have to add this. And this is my tunnel name. And then if you've done everything correctly, you should be able to access your n8n version with your domain. And you may wonder why we haven't set up n8n in step 1. Well, because we have to add a few more environment variables, and we first had to set up the Cloudflare domain in order to be able to do this. So before we actually set up n8n, we need a few things. So first of all, I want you to head over to docker.com and download Docker Desktop for your operating system. And once you have installed this, you should see something like this. Okay, so this is Docker Desktop. As you can see here, I'm already running a n8n container on my computer. And if you open this for the first time, you won't see anything, right? You won't have any containers, you won't have any images or so on. You can just minimize this window, and then you want to head over to n8n's GitHub. So you can just Google it or go to github.com/n8n-io/n8n. You want to scroll down, and here you can find the quick start section. So first you can use npx to run n8n, but we actually want to use Docker. So the second part here, you want to copy that command, head over to your terminal, and you want to run it. This won't do much. It will just show you n8n_data. And then you want to copy the second command, head back over here and run this too. And it will say something like unable to find image locally, and then it will pull the image and all of the necessary files. So let's quickly wait until it's finished. So you can see that it's done, but you can also see that we get an error, right? And the reason for that is that, well, n8n is already running on port 5678. So this is why it can't boot or start the container. But if you now open Docker Desktop, you should see a new image inside of your images list, as you can see here, docker.n8n.io. So this is what you need. If you click play for the first time, you will see this pop-up appear. And it's important and vital that you don't just click run, because we have to do a few things. You want to click the optional settings, and here you want to set the host port to 5678, because otherwise you won't be able to access Docker on port 5678. So this is essentially what you see here. This is essentially what this flag does, right? It sets up Docker on port 5678. And we also need to set the environment variables. So one important environment variable that you want to set is the webhook_URL. And the value of your webhook URL is the domain that we've set up. So this part of the domain, obviously there will be a bunch of gibberish after your main domain, but this is what you want to add as a value for the webhook URL. And you also want to make sure that you're using the trailing slash. Okay, so don't forget this, otherwise you will probably run into issues. As I said, I won't do this because I've already set this up, but let me show you how this will look like. So you will then have this container here, you should see in the ports column, it should say 5678:5678. And if you click on the three dots and you click on View Details, Inspect, and env, you should see the webhook URL inside of the environment variable key, like so. Once you see this, you know that you've done everything correctly. And then you should be able to access your n8n version through the local host, and you won't see the overview immediately because you first have to create an account and set a password and so on. But you should also be able to access your n8n version through your custom domain if your Cloudflare tunnel is running in the background. Okay, I know this was a bit complicated, probably a bit too complicated, but bear with me. We are now done with the second step, and now we can set up Postgres DB locally. And for that, we need two apps. So since I'm on Mac, as I said, I will show you how to do this on Mac. I don't know if the same apps exist on Windows. Absolutely no idea. So first, you need to go to postgresapp.com and you want to download it for your specific Mac OS version. And once you've downloaded this, you will see something like this. So this is just a neat graphical user interface to, well, start and stop your PostgreSQL service on port 5432. As you can see, I have different databases. For you, it will probably just say your username database and maybe the Postgres database, and that's about it. But you can really just minimize the window because we won't really need it. The other app that you need is Postbird, and you want to head over to their GitHub, to github.com/postbird, and then you want to scroll down. Here you can see a few images of the app, and what you want to do then is you want to click on postbird-0.8.4.dmg. This will download the DMG file. You can just install it by double clicking it, and really by just installing it like you would install any other app. And if you then launch Postbird, you will see something like this. So for you, it will probably say something like this. So you can see that it's running on localhost on port 5432. And as for the username, it will probably show your system username. You don't need a password. And if you click connect, you will be connected to your database. So in your case, it will probably, as I've said, just say your username database and Postgres. And as you can see, we can create a database manually. So as you can see, I already have the coding_tutor database and also the coding_tutor demo. So let me quickly go ahead, grab this, and we can delete that one, and I will recreate it together with you. So there's actually a command that you can use to drop the database. So let me quickly show you. It should be called dropdb, and then you want to use the database name. So let's do dropdb coding_tutor_demo. And this should only take a second to execute. Okay, it says is being accessed by other users. Detail, there's one session. Okay, so then we want to delete the session. And again, we want to run it. And now if we connect once more, the database should be deleted, as you can see here. Okay, so let's actually create a fresh database with the same name, coding_tutor demo, the same name as we had. We don't need to choose a template. You can leave the encoding on UTF-8 and you want to click on create database. Now, as you can see, the database is empty and we actually need to do a few things in order to be able to use the database. Now, I will set this up now so that we don't need to do it on the fly later on. But first we have to talk about the different tables that we need inside of our database. So, and for that, I just want to quickly walk you through the SQL statements. So I have asked DeepSeek and Perplexity for this, but I won't walk you through the whole chat history because it would just take too long. But just so you know what we need. First, we obviously need a users table, right? We need an ID, a user ID, we need the username to store it, and we need the actual name of the user and a timestamp where we created it and where he was last active. Then we also need a table learning sessions where we store the past conversations and the different sessions for the different topics that the user wants to learn or was learning at the certain time in the past. And we also need the conversations so that we can keep track of all of the messages inside of our n8n workflow, right? So if you click run query, okay, so we have to do one thing, and that is, first of all, you want to click on the settings tab here, and you actually want to install something which is the UUID-OSSP extension, so install it. And if we now run the query, this should work. As you can see, we now have 3 tables. We have users, we have learning sessions, and we have conversations. But in addition to that, we need a few more tables. And by the way, I will add the SQL statements to the GitHub repository. You can find it in the video description down below. Now, if you remember, the way we create different questions is by letting an agent fetch a random topic and a topic ID from the database. But right now, we don't have any tables where we can store these topics and categories of topics, right? So for that, I actually ask DeepSeek to create a Python script so that we can automatically populate our database with these topics. And if you wonder how I did this, first, I went over to roadmap.sh, and if you don't know it, it's a great site. Definitely check it out. Here you can find role-based roadmaps, for example, a front-end beginner, and it will give you the different things that you would need to learn in the beginning, or if you want to become a front-end developer, you can see the different topics that you would have to know about, right? And there's also a way to download this as a PDF file. So if we click download, you can see that we have this as a, well, as I've said, PDF file. Now, what I did was I went ahead and asked DeepSeek, or really any other LLM, you can also ask Claude, to create a JSON file from this PDF. And let me show you how this looks. So for that, we actually need to head over to VS Code. And as you can see here, this is how it will look like. You have the backend as a key, and you have the different values, and same goes for the front end. So you have the category, you have the subcategory, and you have the different topics, right? As you can see here. And then I ask DeepSeek to create this Python script, which basically helps me to, well, traverse these JSON files and add the topics to the database. So let me quickly show you how this works. First, we have to change the DB params, and well, we have to enter the name of the database. So it's coding_tutor_demo. This is already correct. We have to give the username. We don't need a password. It runs on localhost and on port 5432. This is actually not backend, but frontend.json. And we also want to call this here front-end development, and we need to call this front end. Okay, but now that we've changed all of this, it still won't work because, well, the script will try to add data to a non-existing table. Because if we have a look at the Postgres, you can see that we don't have the categories, subcategories, and topics tables. So this is why we actually need to run another query, and we need to create the categories, we need to create the subcategories, and also the topics. So if we click run query, you can now see that we have the categories, we have the subcategories, and we have the topics. And if we head back over to our Python script and we do Python JSON to DB, you can see that it says data successfully loaded into the database. And if we switch back to Postgres once more and we click on the categories and click on the content, you can see that we actually now have the front-end development. Inside of the subcategories, we have the internet, HTML, CSS, and so on. So basically everything that you can see here, internet, HTML, CSS. And inside of the topics, we have the topics. How does the internet work? What is HTTP? So basically the list that you can see here. And now we are almost finished with all of the steps that we need to take in order to build the actual workflow. The last step that we need to do is we need to set up the Telegram channel and the bot, right? So you want to search for bot father Telegram. Then you want to click on the first result. and this will redirect you to this page, and you will be prompted to open Telegram. So let's quickly do this. What you then see is this page here, right? So you will have to click start, and then you can see the different commands that you have available. Now, in our case, we want to go with the new bot command, and the bot father says, all right, a new bot, how are we going to call it? Please choose a name for your bot, and we'll call it n8n YouTube demo bot demo. Now let's choose a username for your bot. It must end in bot, like this, for example, Tetris bot or Tetris underscore bot. So we'll do coding tutor demo n8n underscore bot. And as you can see, it says, congratulations on your new bot. You will find it at t.me coding tutor demo n8n bot. So if you click it, you will be redirected to a new chat window. If you click start, you could start to talk to your bot, but nothing much will happen because we haven't set up any commands yet, right? Okay, and you also need this access token here. And by the way, never give this access token to anyone because you don't want anyone to control your bot, right? I will delete the bot before I upload this video, but this is what you need. And we also need to create a new channel. So you want to click the new message button, you want to click new channel, you want to give it a name, so we'll call it YouTube demo n8n channel. You want to click next, and here you want to make sure that you choose public as your channel type, and you also want to set a specific name in your public link. So we'll just go with n8n demo channel YouTube. As you can see, it says it's available, and then you want to click done. And now you want to invite your bot to this channel. So for that, you click on the bot name, you want to copy that username, head over to your channel, click on the channel name, you click on administrators, and you click on add admin. And here you want to search for your bot. You want to leave all of the rights as they are, and then you want to click done. And you now have successfully added your bot to your channel. Okay, great. Oof. I know, this was actually quite a lot, and we had to do a lot of stuff in order to finally be able to create the actual workflow. Okay, so let's head back over to the coding tutor, and I actually want to go to home and create a new workflow, right? So let me quickly delete that one, and we create a new one. We'll call it coding tutor demo. And we first want to start with the schedule trigger, right? So you want to click plus and you want to choose on a schedule. We will set it to 6 a.m. And we also need to connect Telegram now. Okay, so you want to click Telegram. More specifically, we want to send a text message. And here, you want to do the following. So first of all, for you, it will probably just say create new credential if you haven't created credentials yet. And then you want to click this. And here, you want to paste the access token that you received from the bot father, right? So grab that access token here, head over here and paste it, and you can give it a name. Maybe let's call it n8n YouTube demo. This is the name of the bot, right? So we'll copy that and we'll paste that here without the @ sign. And if you click save, it should immediately say connection tested successfully. Great. Now you know that this connection works and you can exit out of it. And here you want to add a few more details. So first, the operation is send a message, and you also need the chat ID, and you get the chat ID from your YouTube demo channel. This is actually the chat ID, the @ sign here. Okay, so you want to paste that here, and we can write a demo text. So this is a demo to see if it works. And if we click test step, we should see the output, and we also should be able to see the message inside of Telegram, like so, if you can see, as you can see here. Great. Now it works, and we actually need to edit this node a bit. So first of all, we want to ask a question, okay? The question is, what do you want to learn today? And we also need to change the reply markup from none to inline keyboard. We want to add a keyboard row, and more specifically, we want to add a button, which is called new topic. And we want to add a callback data field with the name new_topic. We want to add another button and call it yesterday's topic. And we also want to add another callback data field and call it yesterday_topic. Great. Now, if we click test step again, you should be able to see this. You have the two buttons, right? Awesome. Now, this is actually the first step of our workflow. And now what we need to do is, well, we can proceed with the next step, which is the start a new learning session part. So for that, I first want to add a note like so. Let me make this a bit bigger, and I just want to call this a daily learning reminder. Okay, awesome. Now we can add a new trigger to the canvas, and this will be a Telegram trigger. More specifically, it will be a onCallback query trigger, as you can see here. And make sure that it says callback query. And now I want you to see something. So if you click on the webhook URLs, you should now be able to see the full webhook URL, right? And the first part of the URL should be your custom domain. So in my case, it's n8n-danieljuergens.mynutrifit24.info, and then we have this weird string of numbers here, right? So this is another sign that you've done everything correctly if you can see this here. If you see something like localhost 5678 and then the string of numbers, this means that you haven't set up the environment variable correctly inside of Docker, and you need to check this again. Okay, great. Now you can close this. First, I want to add a switch statement. So let me quickly do this. Grab the switch statement, and here you want to make sure that it says rules, okay? And for the values, we need to add a few things. So first of all, you want to execute the Telegram trigger. So let's quickly do this. Let's hit the plus sign. As you can see, it now says waiting for trigger event. And if we switch back to Telegram and we click the new topic button, we should see the data appear here like so. And you can see a bunch of metadata. Obviously, we have the user ID, we have the Boolean value, is it a bot or not? We have the first name, we have the username, and essentially some other stuff. Great. Now you want to click on the switch statement, and here the value 1 should be this data field like so. And we want to check if this is called new_topic. And we also want to add another routing rule, which checks if this is yesterday topic. Okay, and if you test the step, the data should just be passed through, right? Nothing much is happening. Now, this is also the first step where we can see if the database setup works as expected. Okay, so let me make this a bit bigger for you guys. Here we want to actually add another Postgres node. So you want to write Postgres, you want to choose the first node, and you want to choose insert or update rows in a table. Okay, so make sure that you connect it to the Telegram trigger, like so. And inside of the Postgres node, you have to do a few things. So first of all, we need to set up the credentials again so that we are able to connect to our database. And as you can see, I already have 2 connections, but for you, it will just say create new credential. So you have to click it, and apparently you have to add a few things. So first of all, the database that we use is called, if you remember, it's called coding_tutor_demo. Okay, so you want to enter this here, coding_tutor_demo. The user is just, well, your system user. You don't need a password, and you also don't need to set other things, but it is important that you change localhost to this value. And I mean, it's like that on Mac. I have no idea what you need to do on Windows. But the problem is that if you would just write normal localhost, well, Docker doesn't really have access to your system localhost, if that makes sense, because Docker runs in an isolated container, or rather the n8n instance that we are running inside of the Docker container is kind of isolated from the rest of your localhost, if that makes sense. This is why you want to choose that one here, and let's call it coding tutor demo DB connection. And if you click save, you should see connection tested successfully. Again, another sign that everything that we have done so far is correct. And now you want to choose the users table like so, and we want to map each column individually, but you want to make sure that you're using the user ID to match on, okay? And now we need to add a few things. So first of all, the user ID, you can find it in the from field under the ID section like so, or ID field. Then you want to add the username. You don't have to add the ID because this will add it automatically as a UUID, if you remember. Then we also want to add the name, and you also want to choose a created at, and for that you can find a date field here, which is a timestamp, but you need to make sure that you convert it to an actual human readable time string like so. And you want to use the now function. Okay, now if we've done everything correctly, and hopefully we have, we should be able to add this user to our database. So if we click test step, you can see that it says node executed successfully. And if we switch back over here and we open the users table, you can see indeed we have added the user to the database successfully. Great. With the user ID, a random UUID, the username, and the actual name of the user. This is awesome. Okay, now that we are done with this, we are finished with the second part of the workflow, which is start a new learning session. And for that, you actually want to add a note. Let me grab it, make this a bit bigger, and well, we want to call it start new learning session, and maybe give it a different color like this one here. And now we can proceed with the next step, which is, well, actually creating the bite-sized question with the agent. Okay, so for that we want to add our first agent. So you click the plus sign, you write AI, and you will find the AI agent node. And here you actually want to do a few things. So first of all, you want to make sure that you choose the tools agent, but you want to change the source for prompt from connected chat trigger node to define below. And then you want to give it the following user message. Let me quickly do it like so. Fetch a new random topic name from the database, output the topic name and its ID. And you also want to add a system message. And the system message is this one. You are a scientific knowledge worker whose job it is to pick interesting topic names from a database. You only grab the topic name, don't do anything else. Topic name and ID, I should say. Don't do anything else. Great. And we can close this for now. We want to make sure that you connect the switch statement to it, not the Telegram trigger, right? Now that we're done with this, we need to add a chat model, and you want to go with Ollama chat. And in that case, we need to use Llama 3.2. DeepSeek won't work because as of right now, DeepSeek is not able to use tools. Okay, so you want to go with Llama, or I don't know if Mistral is able to use tools, but a quick Google search will show you a list of models that can actually use tools. We also, as I've said, want to connect a tool. More specifically, we want to connect the Postgres tool, and the Postgres tool will enable us to fetch a random topic from the database. So first of all, make sure that you are using the correct credentials at the top, and you want to set the tool description to manually, like so, and you want to paste that here, get a coding topic from a database. The operation is actually execute query, and then you want to choose the following SQL statement. So we want the tool to select a topic ID and topic name from a table called topics, and we only want a random entry, which is basically what those 2 lines are doing, okay? Fortunately, I made a mistake. This is not correct here. We have to delete this from the system message. And now if we test the step again, as you can see, it now says git ID 30. I'm sorry about that one. That was a small mistake. And if we head back over here, you can see indeed topic ID 30 is git, right? Now that we're done with this, we can actually add the next node, which will be the output parser. Because right now, if you have a look at the output field, you can see that we can't access topic name and ID individually. We can only access it as the output, if that makes sense. So we need some kind of structured output, right? And for that, you want to add a new node, and you want to add a basic LLM chain. Now, there's probably a better solution for it and maybe an easier one, but I don't know about it. If you know it, please drop a comment down below. I'm always happy to learn something new. So what you want to do is, again, you want to connect a model, and we want to use the Llama 3.2 once more. And you also want to double click on basic LLM chain. You want to toggle require specific output format, and then you want to add a prompt, specifically a system prompt. And this is the system prompt. You're a scientific knowledge worker whose job it is to pick interesting topic names from a database. You only grab the topic name, don't do anything else. So essentially that's the same system message as with the other agent. Now we need to add an output parser. As you can see here, we need to grab the structured output parser, and we want to give it the following JSON example. So topic name, topic ID, that we can actually access those 2 values individually. And here, as the output, we want to add another Postgres node. More specifically, we want to add a insert rows in a table Postgres node. Again, make sure that you've chosen the correct credentials. The operation is insert, and we want to choose the learning sessions table. Make sure that you've set it to map each column manually. And now we need to add a few things. So you need to select the Telegram trigger, and you want to add the user ID, which is that one here. We need the topic ID, which you can find from the LLM chain, but first we have to actually run it. So let me quickly do it. Okay, it says no prompt specified. Okay, yeah. Because we have to click on define below, then you want to change this to expression, and you want to put the output here, like so that it has access to the output from the AI agent. And now if you click test step, we should get a structured output, as you can see, like so. And if we head back over to the Postgres node, we should now be able to individually access the topic ID, like so. As you can see here, topic ID, we delete the null and we grab the topic ID. We set the session type to the data from the trigger, because it's actually a new topic session, right? Or the topic name, well, we can just grab the topic name from the structured output, like so. And then we also need a start time, which we will set to the date, like so. Make sure that you convert it to an actual human readable time string. We don't need to set the session ID, because this will be set automatically for each session. First it's null, or 0, then it's 1, 2, and so on. And we also don't need to set the ID, because we will generate it automatically, right? And now if we've done everything correctly and we test the step, we get an error, right? Because actually this is a string, right? So we have to run the toNumber function. And now if we test the step, as you can see, we get a successful output. If we head back over to our database and into the learning session table, you can see that we've successfully added the learning session. And this is the 3rd step of our workflow. And now we can build the rest of the question workflow. So let me grab this, push this to the bottom a bit. After this AI agent, we need another AI agent. So you want to search for AI agent, add it like so. And here you want to make sure that you again have a tools agent. The source for the user prompt, you want to define it below, and you want to give it the output value. And we also need a system message, and this system message is crucial, because I will show you how. So make this a bit bigger and we'll paste that here. As you can see, this is a quite long system prompt, but this will make or break your n8n workflow. As you can see, it says you're a coding tutor specialized in generating questions and code snippets for JSON output, so for that specific topic. Your goal is to help users learn and practice coding concepts effectively. Take a topic and then it will generate either a question based on the topic or a code snippet. And when it generates a code snippet, it will also ask a question about that code snippet. And how this will look like, we'll see in a bit inside of Telegram. But I just wanted to walk you through the prompt. As you can see here, some info about the tone, and we have an example where we basically have the topic at the top, then we have the type, a question, and we have the content. We now click test step. We should get an error, of course, because we first have to add a chat model. So let's quickly do this, Llama chat model, and we'll go with Llama 3.2, the 3 billion version. We should have everything that we need. So let me quickly run this again. As you can see, we get this output. Let's have a look at how it will look like on Telegram, right? So we connect another Telegram node and we want to make it a send a text message node. Again, you want to make sure that you're using the correct chat ID. Paste that here. And the text will be the output. And essentially, this is everything that you need to do. So let's test the step. And now if we head back over to Telegram, you can see that we indeed get the message as expected, which is great. So we have the topic, which is Git. We have a code snippet. We have the content, and we have a question regarding the code snippet where it says, what would happen if you omit the -- amend flag when using git rebase to squash multiple commits? We also want to add another node to the second AI agent, which is another Postgres node. So let me quickly do it like so. And we want to have the insert row, but we actually want to connect it to the AI agent, which is correct. So double click it. And you want to add this to the conversations table. So make sure that you choose the correct table. And here we also need to link a few things. Okay, so for that, you want to actually choose the trigger. We need a message ID. We need a Telegram user ID. And we also need the Telegram chat ID like so. And we need the actual message that was generated by the AI agent, right? Okay. We also need an intent, and the intent we will find once again inside of the data field. And we also need a timestamp. And again, we can just use the timestamp that we get from the Telegram trigger. So let me quickly grab it. Where is it? Here. And again, you want to make sure that you convert it to the correct format. So this should be everything that we need to do. So we probably have to set this to 0. And then you want to test the step. And if we head back over to our SQL database and we click on conversations, you can see that we now have the message added to the conversations table. Okay, this runs pretty smoothly. So this is really the third step of our n8n workflow. And now we can dive into yesterday's topic. So for that, we want to grab the other branch of the switch statement, and we actually want to add a Postgres node. And more specifically, we want to execute an SQL query. And the query that you want to execute is the following. So we want to select a topic name from learning sessions here for a specific user ID. And the start time should be today minus 1 day. So it should be from yesterday, right? So for that, we actually need to change the row here and change this to the 5th. So we update that one. Now, if we test this step, let's see if we get something. Okay, yeah. First, we have to run this trigger again. So let me quickly do this. And this time we'll go with, you know what, we'll do it a bit differently. So let's quickly start a complete new message. Okay, so we'll run this. As you can see, we have the new question. Now we run this trigger. But this time we'll go for yesterday topic. Now we run this one. As you can see, now we go the other route. Again, if we test this step now, you can see that we indeed grab the correct topic name, which is Git, right? So this is awesome. Now we want to add the next AI agent. So let me quickly grab that one. And again, you want to set this to define below. You want to grab the topic name, pull that here, and you again want to add a system message, set it to expression, open that. And this is essentially the same system message as with the other agent, right? So nothing new is happening here. And then make sure that you connect the Llama chat model, set it to Llama 3.2. And we also want to do one more thing, which is adding memory, and let's do it like so. And here you need to create a new table inside of Postgres or inside of your database, but this will happen fully automatically. So the only thing that you need to do is you need to define a table name, and we'll do coding tutor demo chat memory like so. Right now nothing much will happen, right? Because, well, we actually don't have any chat memory. This will be added in the last part of the coding tutor conversation. For now we can just execute the workflow. We get an error because it says no session ID found. The reason for that, let me see. I'm sorry, because, well, actually we have to set this to define below, and we need to specify a key, and we want to call it Telegram chat ID. But for now, as I've said, let's just deactivate the node. So we'll execute the agent, and it will basically do the same as the agent above, right? So we get a topic, get branching strategies with the type, which is a question. And then the only thing that we need to do is we need to, well, add another Telegram node. More specifically, we again want to send a text message. And here you want to paste the correct chat ID once more. So let's quickly grab this, put that here. And the text is the output that we receive from the agent, right? Okay, awesome. And now if we test the step, we should be able to send this to, yeah, okay. Sometimes you get this error. So the error probably is that, well, can you see the 3 backticks here? For some reason, we only have the beginning 3 backticks, but not the other backticks. So if I copy that manually and we'll do fixed and do it like so, and then I add the backticks manual, this should now work, as you can see. And indeed, we get the correct question. So sometimes, well, the agent messes things up. Just know that you can fix it. We probably have to work on the system prompt a bit, but other than that, it works. Okay, great. Now we can add another sticky note, and we'll call that dive into yesterday's topic. And now we can already proceed to the last step of the coding tutor, which is the actual coding tutor conversation. And for that, we need a new trigger, more specifically a new Telegram trigger. So you want to search for Telegram, and you want to scroll down, open the drop down, and you want to search on message trigger like so. Okay, again, make sure that you have the correct credentials selected and the trigger is set to on message. And now you first want to add an AI agent, and here you want to make sure that you set the source for prompt to define below. This is actually what you get from the Telegram trigger, right? So first we have to execute this one. So let's do it like so. You can see it says executing workflow, but we get an error inside of here. So let me quickly deactivate this one. So you want to run the trigger. It says waiting for trigger event, and you want to ask a question and say something like, what is Git branching, for example. So we'll send this. Unfortunately, this is one of the, well, weaknesses of this workflow, or rather of Telegram, because what you need to do is you actually need to forward this message to your bot. So if we do this, you can see that the Telegram trigger fired successfully. The problem is that bots can't really read or receive messages inside a channel. So whenever you send a message in the channel, you need to forward it to the bot so that the bot can actually work with the message, if that makes sense. There is not really a workaround for it. I've Googled the crap out of it. Maybe I've searched in the wrong spot. So if you know a solution for that, please let me know in the comments. But other than that, you can see that we get the correct text, and now we can activate the bot, and we need to put the text here like so. And the next thing that we need to do is we also need to add a system message, and let me quickly grab that message. So we need to set this to expression and put that here like so. Okay, so you're a coding tutor AI designed to guide users through problem solving by encouraging critical thinking and providing targeted support. Your goal is to help users reach correct answers independently while ensuring they grasp underlying concepts. And basically what this does, it just talks about how the agent should answer a specific question. So for example, now that we have asked what is Git branching, or let me put this differently. If you have a question and you don't understand a specific part of it, you don't want the agent to just give you the answer, right? You want him to give you more hints or ask other questions so that you can think about the topic from a different point of view. And this is essentially what this system message is doing. Great. Now we still need to connect a few things. So first we again need to connect the Ollama chat model, and we'll go with Llama 3.2 once more because I can't actually run any other model on my MacBook. And here you also want to add the Postgres chat memory. And again, make sure that you give it the correct name. So let me quickly head back over here, and you want to grab the correct key, and you also want to grab the table name like so. Okay, so let me quickly put that here. And now we should be able to run the agent just to test and see what it comes up with. Okay. Now, as you can see, it says Git branching is a fundamental concept that helps developers manage multiple versions of their code base. Think of it like fork in a river, yada, 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 and so on. It's a pretty long explanation, as you can see. And then we also want to choose another Telegram send message node. So let me quickly do it like so. You want to output the text here, and the chat ID again is the correct chat ID to the channel. So let me quickly grab that like so. And I think this should be it. So, and by the way, if you wonder why you don't see the new table for the chat memory, you have to actually refresh it. And now, as you can see here, we have the Coding Tutor demo chat memory where we basically store the conversation between the agent and the user, as you can see here. Okay, and now you can also enable the Postgres chat memory here. Okay, so the last few steps that we need to do is we need to, add another Postgres node for the Telegram trigger. So let me quickly choose this, and we want to give it an insert rows in table, and we want to put that here like so. Make sure that you choose the conversations table, and again you want to link the different fields here. So the message ID, Telegram user ID, Telegram chat ID, and so on. So I will quickly do this off camera because by now you should already know how to do it. Okay, so let's test the step. This should also work. So of course we have to set this to null. So let's do test. Okay, I quickly wanted to add something. I realized that I made a mistake. So actually we don't really need the additional conversation history because, well, we're gonna store everything in Postgres chat memory. If you have a look at the Postgres chat memory, let me quickly reload this. You can see that, well, we already store all of the data, right? We store the human content. We also store the AI content. So the conversations is literally pointless. And this is also why you don't need the additional Postgres nodes here where you store the conversations, right? So you can just delete those, and this is what the actual workflow looks like. So let me quickly add this one here, and this is the final workflow. As I've said, you have the daily reminder, you have the start new learning session trigger, then we generate the bite-sized question, we have the output parser, we can dive into yesterday's topic, and we also have the coding tutor conversation, and each and every agent has access to the Postgres chat memory, right? So sorry about that. If you've watched this video until here. I will probably edit this somewhere earlier in the video so that you know what you need to do. Mistakes happen. So again, if somebody wants to prove the workflow, be my guest. Okay, so let me quickly switch the camera. Obviously, the workflow is not perfect and I still have to edit a few things here and there, but I just wanted to share it with you so that you can use it and, well, let it help you to learn a specific coding topic. And as I've said, if someone, and I'm sure about that, if someone way smarter with way more experience in n8n is watching this video, please grab the workflow, make it your own and improve it. And if you want, maybe even share it inside of my free Discord server. So other than that, I hope you gained a little bit of value from this video and I'll see you in the next one.